Spirit. Same word as breath. Same word as wind. The Greeks knew what this word meant. When we talk about the Spirit of God, like some kind of... It is, God is what animates us. Gives us breath, gives us life, and gives us His Spirit, gives us His breath. Breathe on me, breath of God. Fill me with life anew. We sing that, do we? We ever sing that one? Ah, it's in the book, even if we don't sing it. Okay, all right. We do sing it? It's been a while, so I haven't. Okay. All right. It's not some kind of mysterious thing. It is the promise of God that He exists within you. The breath of God. He says, through the Spirit we eagerly await the righteousness. There's a big one. You ever try to define that term? Righteousness. Let me throw one out that you probably get an idea about. Self-righteousness. Have you ever met somebody who's self-righteous? Now you know what I'm talking about there. Right? Somebody who believes they're okay compared to everybody else. Whatever they do is okay because they set the norm. They set the standard for everybody else. That's a self-righteous person. Righteousness, the trite definition is, you're right standing with God. Let's throw that up right there. Righteousness is when God looks at you and said, you're okay with me. You're okay with me. That's what it means. And there are people there in Galatians telling them, here's what you've got to do in order to have God say that you're okay with me. Paul said, no. We wait for it. Through the Spirit. We wait for the righteousness, which is Jesus. We believe. We have committed our lives to Jesus because that's our righteousness. He is our righteousness. Because of what He's done for you and I, God looks at us and says, you know what? You're okay with me. You are okay with me. I try to tell my sons, you're okay with me. Does that mean that I appreciate every decision they made? Does that mean that I'm really excited about how everything's going in their life? No, because in my human spiritual weakness, I have a very short-sighted idea about their life. I try to tell them, you're okay. And what God is telling you this morning is you're okay with it. And it's not because you've done certain things, it's because you've come to trust that He desires what's best for you, and He provided for that in Jesus. Okay, we've got the three terms. Okay. So we've got, we eagerly await, through the Spirit, the righteousness which God is going to give us. It says here, then, it says, by faith we eagerly wait. For in Christ Jesus neither circumcision nor uncircumcision has any value. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself in love. And now we come to love. This is a hard one. This is a hard one for us. Because we want to think that we're loving people. We want to think that what we knew, what we know growing up in life is love. Well, there's a lot of ways that we treat each other that are not love. They are. And what's going on in Galatians is Paul's going to talk about them biting and devouring each other. And taking little pieces out of each other. Talk about being in competition with each other. That is not love. It's Paul that gave us definition of love. 1 Corinthians 13. I was patient, I was kind. Remember, you know what I'm talking about? Last time you went to a wedding, you ever hear that? You always hear about that one, right? Love always trusts, always forgives, always protects. Okay, that's God. That's the definition of God. And if any of us in this room say, oh, we major did that. We've got that one down. Okay. I'll have the elders meet you to that. Okay. God is love. God gives us the definition of love. The way that we love is not like God's love. How many times have we done somebody wrong and said, oh, but I love you? The reason I'm doing this is because I love you. Okay. Maybe that's the way our parents loved us. Maybe that's the way a spouse said they loved us. No. God is love. And what we're waiting for is His righteousness. The ultimate show of His love. When Jesus comes back. What we have our hope in is Jesus. What we count on is Jesus. What we try to do with that trust that we have with God, that faith that we have in God, is express it in love. And that's the only thing that counts. Did you know that your church membership doesn't count? Did you know that your percentage and your contribution doesn't count? I remember growing up, we were one of those churches that went 3 times a week, and it was the joke, and at Judgment Day and all this big line, and people were shouting and screaming and jumping up and down. And people said, what is it? And they turned out and said, well, we found out that Wednesday night doesn't count. You know what, guys? None of it counts. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself in love. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not Jewish. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. Doesn't matter if you're a slave or free. It doesn't matter. The only thing that counts is when you trust in Jesus, does it find a way to express itself in following God's love and His definition of love for each other? Now, folks, there are ways to break faith. There are ways to show that you have not got somebody's interest in mind. And all of us have experienced that one way or the other. Maybe we've done it. Maybe we're doing that. There are ways to love that are godly, and there's ways that we call love that aren't godly. Guess which one counts? Trust. Just dwelling in the fact that God desires what's best for you. That God has your personal needs. That God has your spiritual needs in heart. And He wants what's best for you. Faith. Expressing itself in a way that God would call love. Now, Paul's going to tell us more about that. It means not fighting, not devouring each other, not comparing ourselves to each other, not trying to control each other. That's not love. The only thing that counts, is faith expressing itself in love. This is an important key to spirituality, being a spiritual person. You cannot be a spiritual person without having that trust in God. You can't be a spiritual person thinking that I'm going to earn God's righteousness. I'm going to earn that right relationship. You can't do it. You can't be a spiritual person and not be free. We've seen that in Galatians chapter 5. This is freedom. That God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him wouldn't perish, but have everlasting life. That's what we celebrate. And that's what we're free to celebrate. And we've got to remain free